Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Afternoon Praise. It is Fearless Faith Friday. We are at the end of the week and I am so excited for you because you stayed the course. Yes, you did. You kept your foot on the gas. And I know some days probably got hard. Some moments probably got hard. You just didn't know how you were going to make it through. But you know what you did? You paused for a minute. You sought God. You reset and you pushed the gas and you went forward and you made it to the end of the week. And this is Fearless Faith Friday. Yes, you are here. See, this week has been a powerful journey. Monday, we learned protect your access points. Tuesday, we learned discernment is a security system. And on Wednesday, we learned protecting your biggest asset, which is YOU. And yesterday, we talked about stop leaking what God is trying to build. But today, we arrive at the final lesson because after you protect it, after you discern it, after you stop leaking it, there's one more thing you must do. Let go what God told you you have to leave behind. And today's message is what's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. And family, some of you are praying again for breakthrough, healing, elevation, purpose, and peace. See, while remaining emotionally attached to old wounds, old habits, old relationships, old environments, and old mindsets. And here's the truth, people. What's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. See, some people are trying to build a new future while constantly revisiting the old season. They are asking God for a new chapter while reading pages he's already finished. Rereading pages he's already finished. They are standing at the doorway of purpose while repeatedly looking over their shoulders at what God already delivered them from. And if you know your Bible, it's starting to sound familiar. See, the future God has prepared for you requires your attention, your focus, your faith, and your obedience. But if your heart remains attached to what is behind you, it becomes difficult to fully embrace what is ahead of you. Let's look at Philippians 3 verses 13 and 14. I'm just going to read 13, but go back and attach 14 to this. It said, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before." And today, people, we are talking about attachment. We are talking about release. We are talking about freedom, emotional healing, your purpose. We are talking about your growth. We are talking about trust. But this right here, we are talking about moving forward because your future deserves more attention than your past deserves your attention. I'm going to say that again. Because your future deserves more attention than your past deserves your attention. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Join us on this heavenly journey, one song at a time, Wayvve Radio.
Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise on this Fearless Faith Friday. Yes, it is Friday, man. The week is gone already, but welcome to the weekend. But you know what? Stay the course, because some of y'all are still working. You're still on a project, but stay the course until it's done. All right. Let's talk about familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. One of the greatest struggles people face is not moving forward. It's letting go. See, psychology teaches us something powerful. People often choose familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. Why? I'm glad you asked. Because familiarity feels safe. even when it's hurting us. Some people stay connected to unhealthy relationships, destructive habits, toxic environments, because they know what to expect. Growth requires uncertainty, and uncertainty requires faith. See, many people remain stuck not because they lack the ability, but because they fear the unknown. And the old seasons may not have been healthy, but at least it was familiar. See, the future requires trust, and trust often feels uncomfortable before it becomes rewarding. Let's go back. Let's think about Abraham. See, God called him to leave what he knew before revealing everything ahead. Growth has always required movement. Nobody walk into a new season while clinging tightly to the old one. See, familiar pain often feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
You're riding the waves of faith and grace on Wayvve Radio.
Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Stop romanticizing what nearly destroyed you. See, one of the enemy's greatest tricks is selective memory. You forgot the tears. You forgot the stress. You forgot the confusion. You forgot the disappointment, and only remember the comfort. See, some people are romanticizing seasons that nearly destroyed them. You missed the relationship. You missed the environment. You missed the old season, but you forgot how much it cost you. Sometimes people remember the good moments while conveniently forgetting the emotional damage, the sleepless nights, and the prayers they prayed asking God to rescue them. Nostalgia can become dangerous when it edits the truth. Ask God to help you remember accurately, not emotionally, not selectively, but accurately, people. Because when you see the whole picture, you often realize that what you're missing wasn't nearly as healthy as you remember. Stop glorifying what God delivered you from. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wayvve Radio.
Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. If you just tuned in, this is Fearless Faith Friday, and we are talking about what's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. And let's talk about this. So her eyes look back because her heart never left. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Let's go to Genesis 19, verse 26. It said, but his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. See, the issue was never her neck. The issue was her heart. The issue was never her eyes. The issue was her heart. Her eyes looked back because her heart never left. God was leading her towards safety, but emotionally, she was still attached to Sodom. Many people are physically in a new season, but emotionally living in an old one. They change locations, but not attachments. They've changed environments, but not desires. They moved forward physically while remaining anchored emotionally. God was not merely moving Lot's wife away from danger. He was moving her towards a future. But she remained emotionally connected to what God was removing. And many people are doing the same thing today. You cannot follow God forward while emotionally living backwards. And you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wayvve Radio.
And you're listening to the Afternoon Praise on this Fearless Faith Friday. Let's talk about, see, God brought Israel out of Egypt, right? But Egypt stayed in their thinking. What do you mean, sir? Hey, I'm glad you asked. See, God delivered Israel from slavery, but freedom created a challenge. Now they had to think differently. So every time pressure came, they wanted to return to slavery. Not because Egypt was good, because Egypt was familiar. See, many people are asking God for freedom while constantly revisiting what kept them bound. See, deliverance is often quicker than transformation. God can change your location overnight, but changing your mindset may take time. That is why some people leave the environment but carry the mentality with them. The Israelites were free externally, but still imprisoned internally. They had left Egypt physically, but Egypt remained in their thinking. If we are not careful, people, we can do the same thing. Freedom requires a new mindset. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wayvve Radio.
Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Let's talk about the past becomes dangerous when it competes with your future. Yes. See, the past becomes dangerous when it starts competing for your attention, competing for your focus, competing for your energy. The past becomes dangerous when it's competing for your peace. See, at some point, you must decide, will I invest in where I was or where God is taking me? Because you cannot build tomorrow while living yesterday. I'm going to say that again. You cannot build tomorrow while living yesterday. Every moment spent obsessing over what was is energy that cannot be invested into what can be. See, your purpose needs attention. Your future needs focus. Your calling deserves your best effort. The enemy does not always need to destroy you. Sometimes all he needs is to distract you long enough to keep you from moving forward. See, the past becomes dangerous when it competes with your future. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wayvve Radio.
If you just tuned in and you're listening to the Afternoon Praise here on this Fearless Faith Friday. Yes, it is Friday. And we are talking about what's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. So let's talk about you are emotionally funding a season God already closed. Yes. See, this is hard truth, people. Some people, and I was once there, some people are emotionally funding a season God already closed. You're investing time, energy, thoughts, attention, your money into something God has already moved on from. The relationship ended. The season ended. The opportunity ended. But you keep paying emotional rent. Every time you revisit the memory, replay the disappointment, or reopen the wound, you make another emotional payment into a season that no longer produces fruit. See, stewardship requires wisdom. Wisdom knows when to stop reinvesting. If God has closed the door, stop standing outside knocking. Stop funding what God already closed. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Bringing the sounds of heaven 24/7, Wayvve Radio.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. And if you miss any part of this show, you can go to my YouTube channel, The Business Point Guard, and listen to the show entirely. And if you miss any other show, you can listen to the show. And make sure you hit subscribe, all right? But let's talk about what's behind you is sucking life out of you. See, what's behind you is sucking life out of you in every area of your life. See, some people think the past only affects emotions. No, it affects peace, confidence, your discipline, your leadership, your relationships, your finances, your purpose, and your spiritual growth. See, the past doesn't have to be physically present to continue draining your future. See, some people wonder why they feel exhausted all the time. The answer may not be their workload. It may be their emotional weight they continue carrying. See, old disappointments, old hurts, old failures, old attachments continue pulling energy from the present. See, every day spent carrying unnecessary baggage is strength that could have been used to build your future. Every day you stay attached to what God told you to leave behind, you lose strength needed for what's ahead. You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. Let's talk about you cannot drive forward looking in the rearview mirror. And I know you hear this all the time. But imagine driving down the highway staring only into a rearview mirror. Eventually, you're going to crash. But yet, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, people are doing exactly that. Constantly reviewing failures. You're constantly reviewing regrets. You're constantly reviewing disappointments and mistakes while ignoring the road ahead. See, the rearview mirror has a purpose. It helps us learn. It helps us remember. It helps us avoid repeating mistakes. But it was never designed to become our primary focus. Learn from the past, people. Respect the lessons of the past, but do not live in the past. You cannot drive forward while staring backwards. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and we are talking about what's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. See, what's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. I'm going to say it again. What's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. This is the heart of today's message, people. I'm going to say it again. What's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. Old thinking cannot create new outcomes. Old habits cannot sustain new levels. Old environments cannot support new purpose. Old identities cannot carry new assignments. See, many people are trying to build a future with tools that belong to a formal season. They are expecting new results while holding onto old patterns. But growth requires transformation. See, the skills that got you here may not be the skills that's going to take you there. The mindset that survived one season may not be the mindset required for the next one. Every level requires another level of development. God is not trying to improve your past. God is trying to prepare your future. You cannot build a kingdom future with materials from your past. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and we are talking about what's behind you can't build what's ahead of you. See, not everything leaving your life is a loss. And I said this yesterday. See, many people see every departure as a loss. God often sees it as preparation. Some relationships leave, some opportunities leave, some habits leave, some seasons leave. Not because God is punishing you, because God is preparing you. See, we often grieve things that God is strategically removing. We call it loss while God calls it alignment. We call it rejection while God calls it protection. See, sometimes what feels like subtraction is actually preparation. God removes things not because they are bad, but because they no longer fit the future. He is preparing you. Not everything that leaves was meant to stay, and not everything that stays is meant to go. Not everything leaving your life is lost. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
You're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. Pruning is not punishment. It's promotion. Let's look at John 15, verse 2. Every branch that beareth fruit, he purges, that it may bring forth more fruit. Pruning hurts, but pruning produces. God removes things, not to decrease you, but to increase your capacity. Sometimes the things leaving your life is making room for something greater. Every gardener understands what healthy growth sometimes requires. It requires cutting. Healthy growth requires cutting. See, dead branches consume resources. Unhealthy growth blocks future fruit. God sees what is producing life and what is merely consuming energy. He sees further than we do. He understands what must remain and what must be removed. Trust his process even when you do not fully understand his pruning. Pruning is not punishment, it's promotion. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise on this Fearless Faith Friday. See, God cannot feel hands that refuse to release. See, this may be one of the strongest truths of the week. God cannot feel hands that refuse to release what he told them to leave behind. Some people are asking for new opportunities, new peace, new purpose, while holding tightly onto old baggage. Release creates capacity. Just imagine trying to receive something valuable while refusing to let go what is broken. At some point, but capacity becomes the issue. Sometimes God is not waiting on your readiness. He is waiting on your release. Because what you hold on to unnecessarily limits what he can place into your hands. What you refuse to release eventually limits what you can receive. Open your hands, people. Let go of the past. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Yeah, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown. If you got a shout out or request, hit us up and we got you. All right. But let's talk about your future deserves more attention than your past. See, the future requires vision, your focus, your energy, and your mustard seed of faith. But many people spend all those resources looking backwards. Your future deserves your attention. Your purpose deserves your attention. Your calling deserves your attention. Attention is one of the most valuable resources God has given us. Wherever your attention goes, your energy follows. Wherever your energy goes, growth follows. If you spend your attention constantly feeding regrets, disappointments, and old memories, you will starve the future God is trying to grow. Invest your attention wisely. Stop giving yesterday authority over tomorrow. Okay? Stop giving yesterday authority over tomorrow. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown, on this Fearless Faith Friday. Let's talk about the execute the apostolic pivot, right? So let's talk about Paul. See, Paul didn't drift forward. He pressed forward. He made a decision. Apostolic growth requires intentional movement, not excuses, not nostalgia, not hesitation, but movement. There comes a moment when thinking about change is no longer enough. There comes a moment when prayer must become action. There comes a moment when faith requires movement. You cannot simply wish your way into the next season. At some point, you must take a step. You must actively choose your future and execute. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
Thank you for joining me on this Fearless Faith Friday. Hear that? Them L's. Hey, thank you for joining me on this Fearless Faith Friday. Man, it feels good. It feels good to be here. It feels good to be talking to you all. And thank you for listening. If you're listening to me live now, or if you're listening to the replay on any other platforms, thank you for listening. All right. But let's talk about forgetting and reaching. See, notice Paul's language in Philippians 3, verse 13. Forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. Look, forgetting, reaching, both are required. You cannot reach while still clinging. You cannot grab the new while still holding on to the old. See, Paul understood that forgetting and reaching happen simultaneously. As you release one thing, you grab hold to another. The Christian walk is not merely leaving behind, it is moving towards. God never asked us to release something without providing a greater purpose ahead. Let's go so you can grow. I'm going to say that again. Let's go so you can grow. Hey, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise. I'm your host, Demetrius L. Brown.
Catch the wave. You're listening to Wayvve Radio, your home for uplifting gospel music.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to the Afternoon Praise, and guess what? You missed the whole show because my time is up. And I know some of you all can't listen to the live broadcast, but that's why we have the other platforms so that you can go back and listen to the show entirely. But before I leave you, I want to leave you with Isaiah 43, verse 18 and 19. And I'm just going to glimpse over, but I want you to go back and read Isaiah 43, verse 18 and 19. But I'm just going to focus on this part here. Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. See, family, this week has been about protection. We were talking about protecting your access, your peace, your mind, your discipline, your purpose. But today we learned something else. Sometimes protecting your future requires releasing your past. What's behind you cannot heal you. What's behind you cannot grow you. What's behind you cannot build you. What's behind you cannot carry you. See, what's behind you cannot build what's ahead of you. Stop reaching back, people. Stop funding old seasons. Stop romanticizing old bondage. Trust God enough to move forward. God has too much ahead of you for you to spend your life staring behind you. See, this next chapter requires your faith, it requires your focus, and it requires your obedience. Trust Him enough to release what was so you can embrace what is coming. And remember this, people. Remember, your future deserves more attention than your past deserves your attachment. See, this is Fearless Faith Friday, people. I need you to walk forward, keep growing, keep trusting, keep pressing forward, and as always, protect the brand. YOU. You are your biggest asset. Man, I thank you for joining me this week. It is Friday. Go enjoy your weekend. Go and reset. I will catch you Monday on Motivation Monday. I'm out of here. Peace.
Stay tuned and stay blessed here on Wayvve Radio.